Yes guys, I hope you're all well and welcome back to another video. Behind me is the Suzuki Across in Central Red, and I'm yet to find a fault with it. So this isn't just your standard rugged SUV 4x4, it actually has plug-in functionality, and it's actually got industry leading range for a plug-in anyway. It's got up to 46 miles on paper. It's probably going to give you 35 or 30 day to day, but you've got to think this charges in just 2 hours. So you get home, you plug it in, you wake up in the morning and you've got probably 30 miles on just battery. That's enough for most people that just commute, and if you did run out of juice, it's still got an engine, so you can literally just put your petrol in and off you go. So yes, it is a beast, and it's got a total power output of 302 horsepower, meaning it can do 0 to 62 in 6 seconds flat. For a big boy, it shifts, boy, it shifts. In terms of list price, it's £48,000, on par with a Mazda CX-60 and a Toyota RAV4, which this is actually a collaboration with. So if you look at a new RAV4 and this, you probably won't find one thing or maybe half a thing that's different, simply because they collaborated and made it together. Don't ask me why. All I can say is this thing, the Suzuki Across, gets the thumbs up. Let's go for a drive. So now you're gonna have to excuse me because the pollen is rife and the hay fever doesn't seem to be going away. But yeah, SUV, and I know it doesn't really stand for it, and I'm not going to go into the other letters, but S in SUV should always stand for space, and this has got an abundance. So boot wise, I threw the pram in. I probably could throw a suitcase in with that pram, which is great for when you're going on, I don't know, road trips or taking the car to Europe for a nice little family holiday. It does the job so easily. Headroom, there's tons of it. Driving position, very easy to set up. You've got electric seats on the right for the driver, and you've got analog seats on the left for the passenger. Rear, tons, literally tons. This is probably the first car that the wife's got in and said, it's lovely. It's absolutely lovely. There's no qualms with having the baby seat with the Isofix in the back and having to push the seat far forward so that there's enough space. Nah, not this, not the Across. It definitely ticks a box for space. So when selling the plug-in aspect of it, it's a no-brainer. For me, a hybrid should definitely be something that's going to allow you to save more money than just buying a combustion engine car, and this definitely does that. For a commute to work every single day of the week, I haven't used the engine once. Actually, tell a lie, I turned on the engine through the drive modes, which again we'll touch on in a second, just because I had to use the motorway. There's two routes for me to get to work, either use the motorway or don't, and I haven't had to because I've just used the normal, I don't know, in a city route, and I've just used EV every single day, and obviously I've only had the car for about 5 to 6 days, so I haven't had to charge it. But when I went on a motorway, I stuck it in charge and it just charged the battery. It literally charged the battery. I just saw 6 miles just come up from nowhere. So it's an absolute no-brainer. A plug-in hybrid for me is definitely the way. So talking about the drive modes, it did take me a while to kind of understand it fully, because there is a few and not all of them make sense. So furthest away, you've got a button that says hybrid and a little circle around it, a little arrow saying EV, and it also says charge hold, meaning, let's just talk about the easy part. That button is your friend when you're on the motorway. Hold it down like I will now, and it would say charge mode on the dash, and the engine is now on, meaning I've now got quite some poke. But also it means that this is primarily just going to be set up to run in engine mode and charge up the battery. and that's all it will do. And it's probably best to do it when you're on a motorway so you don't notice it as much. But if you're at a traffic light or it just stopped anywhere, the engine's going to rev a bit higher than idle to ensure that the battery is charging. So when I'm cruising around here, it's fine, 40 miles an hour, it's charging the battery, happy days. Now if I press that button again, it goes into EV mode, which speaks for itself. It's in full EV. And if I press that button one more time, it's in hybrid mode, which means it will act like a normal hybrid. So now I'm pushing the pedal quite a bit and it's using the engine. But now if I come off that pedal and just press it gently, it will start using EV. So those three are probably the three buttons that you should be playing around with. That's your hybrid mode, EV mode, and your charge mode. But then there's another button called auto, and auto is switching between EV and hybrid when it sees fit. So right now I'm just squeezing the throttle gently, I'm doing 30 miles an hour and it's in EV mode. Come off the throttle, it's charging the battery, back on the throttle, it's using EV mode. 30, 35, 38, it's just using EV mode. But if I push that, the engine kicks in and it's driving like a hybrid. So essentially you could just leave it in this mode until you need to charge the battery, which is what I've been doing. Leave it in auto and it does the job. So it's a bit confusing as to why you'd need a hybrid mode when auto essentially is acting as a hybrid. Maybe they just had a gap there and they wanted to fill it in with, I don't know, a mode. I'm not too sure. So while we're talking about the characteristics of this car, it's also got 3 drive modes, not engine modes, 3 drive modes. You've got normal, sport, and then on the bottom you've got eco. And eco is what I've been driving this car in for 95% of the time, and this thing drives so smooth. The throttle isn't snappy, it just cruises, it just wafts along, which is what you want from your SUV. Now normal, the steering wheel becomes a bit lighter, or a bit more natural, because in eco it reduces power, as many other cars do, to the aircon and probably to the power steering, or the electrical power steering. Now if I put it in sport now, the steering doesn't really feel any heavier. There's no dead zone or anything in the steering, but the throttle becomes a bit more urgent when you press it. And boy, you can tell that this thing's got a 2.5 litre engine underneath it, because it definitely shifts gears, boys. Yes, boys. Yes, girls. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it shifts. So now infotainment, to be honest with you, I haven't had to use it. I only looked at it just to see what the EV display looked like. It's like a little gimmick that I like to see when the car is coasting, whether it's sending power to 2 of the motors, because this is an all-wheel drive car, or whether it's using the battery, whether it's using the engine. Obviously you can tell because it's on the dash, but it's just a little gimmick to see. But the infotainment's very straightforward. It's not... It's very simple. There's no bad thing about it. It's very simple. It's not confusing in any way. But again, with this car being modern and with it having wireless CarPlay, that's all I use. Waze and music. Forget Spotify. Spotify's rubbish. Don't hit me. So now there's a button down here called Trail, and essentially this button changes the all-wheel drive functionality of the car, whether it's going to be more rear bias, front bias, and it also changes the braking. So it plays around with the car's entire braking and traction control system to ensure you don't end up in a sticky situation. We're in some loose gravel now, and this is probably the best I've got. So I'm just going to give the car full lock, and I'm going to plant the accelerator, and hopefully we don't end up going straight. Let's see. Ooh, wow, okay. So the car has got ultimate control, because in most situations we would have ended up straight ahead into this fence. This car just rotated as if it was rear wheel drive. Decent job, decent. I trust you. I would happily take you out on a wet winter's night. Yeah, that sounds absolutely savage. Can I put that in the video? Now, in regards to parking, it's got a reverse camera, and believe it or not, for an SUV, this thing does very, very well. You haven't got any rear axle steer, so you haven't got to worry about anything like that, but yeah, it drops in spaces very, very well. Nice and quiet. It again switches into EV mode when you are reversing, which is great. Full concentration, and it does the job very well. You've got different angles that you can play around with, again, with the reverse camera, but yes, I don't know why I've just lost all energy. I think because I was concentrating. So there we have it, the Across. In my opinion, this thing is faultless. The plug-in hybrid functionality of it just goes to another level. 30 miles, plug it in overnight and you're good to go each day. Loads of poke, loads of space, very comfortable. It's an absolute no-brainer. If I was going to try and pick something out, it would probably be like a little pan roof or a little sunroof, just to put a bit more light in the cabin because it is a bit dark at times. But other than that, Suzuki Across, 5 stars. 5 stars from me. There you go, there you have it. I probably haven't had a car on the channel to be able to say that, but this thing is another level. But yeah guys, if you have enjoyed this video, please smash the thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, God bless.